Welcome into the Fresh Inspiration Show, Mindset Transformation, Entertainment. Hi, my name is Rhonda Liebig, and I am the host and creator of the show. I love me a lot of vitality, a lot of inspiration. We had 5 incredible stars in episode 20. You're also getting this in podcast. The Fresh Inspiration Show. I'm really enjoying hosting the show. When I first started doing this, it felt so huge and overwhelming. And now, doing this for over 5 years, I'm starting to really learn the process of, what's making me feel limited about like this is a big show and I can't handle it. And have you ever felt like that? Well, the show is kind of about this. It's about like arriving on time, like giving yourself this experience of like almost like bending time. Have you ever had this experience where you thought that something was going to take a full hour or a half a day, and somehow your body gets dialed in, and then your heart is in it, your brain goes straight there, and it's just being with it? No, it's not this like, well, maybe I do this, maybe I do that, all this wishy-washiness, all this chatter in the background, 60,000 words that we say to ourselves a day. 80% of that is known to be negative. So let's say you're doing some mindset transformation, entertainment, but you still know that there's a high percentage of negativity going on. It may not be 80%, but these daily strategies, essential. So when I started getting in truth about why I'm here on earth, now I want to ask you that. Why are you here on earth? Have you found it? Are you living in your passion? No matter what level you're at, where you feel the gauge of where you are in your passion to maybe wanting to be there and learning how to get there, you're going to get the tools today. Now, if you're getting this in episodes through podcast, you're going to have 4 different podcasts because we had a 4-hour show. So make sure you grab all 4 of those because we have me, Rhonda Liebig, host of the show. Rhonda Lumoxie did not show up, which is my speaker name when I give myself a spot where I get to be your vitality coach. But I hosted it pretty good this month. Episode 19 in the podcast I'm very proud of. First, we had a reoccurring star, Janeen Olmos. Janeen is a resilience coach, and she likes to work with SOS, like really big. Oh, I'm ready to, tackle something that's so big that's stopping somebody that's like right there in front of them, and she can see it and she loves to move it. So she has these resilience tools. And we were talking about how people have stuff going on, but they just don't realize it, and how you say it in a way where people feel safe. So a lot of this show is a lot about safety. We had Maud Miller. Maud Miller, she calls herself an angel mom. Her daughter passed away. The stories that she shares. She has a beautiful butterfly in the background. So if you're getting this in podcast, you can go over to our YouTube and watch the podcast over there and find me, Rhonda Liebig. You will find the Fresh Inspiration Show as one of the groupings. Maud Miller speaks about how she has butterflies all around because her daughter said, Mama, when I come back and after I pass on from this earth, I know I want to come in as a butterfly. So I'll be around. I'll be around you all the time. And so Maud has her stories, but she gets in there and says, hey, when is it your time? My daughter passed on. She only had so much time, but she stepped into it. When are you going to step into it? Oh, what a real moment. Wow. Then we had Brenda Wood. Brenda Wood, incarcerated for years. She did some things in her background got around the wrong people in business, and things happened. They went down. So she was incarcerated, and she knew that there was a purpose for her to be in there. At first, she was very, very angry, and she speaks to us here at the show saying, what are you angry about? What are you ready to let go? Are you in your prison? And even though those are imaginary walls, you truly, don't you feel it? You're truly in there. So the way Brenda Wood explained it, oh, so incredible. I loved her stuff. Heidi Wilde, this woman is wild, but it's with an E. And Heidi spoke about how she got into smoking pot, how that affected her whole world because she couldn't stop. She was smoking pot even on her breaks. She was trying to hide it. She was doing all these things because she wanted to numb herself. Oh, these are great, great stories. Nobody can make up these stories. Then she gets in there deep and she talks about, and she kind of tethers with all the other stars and she speaks about what they're doing and saying, hey, this is your time. This is your time for health, because she represents health. Then we have Jill Reynolds speaking about when she had a body that was like a 10, and she expresses what a 10 is and the crazy things she did and how she almost died. And her stories are incredible. You're really going to love Jill Reynolds. That's what the show is about. It's about having fun, but it's about getting in truth with the stuff that's right there in front of you that is shackling you, that's stopping you from being you, the lovely, beautiful being that you are, and to recognize that so that you lead with your heart. You open up yourself authentic. And I was thinking of authenticity, like to be able to be in that space where you get to just be you. Nobody else. Nobody can be you. And that's what this is all about. So I enjoy the show. At the end, I'm going to share with you some things that the Fresh Inspiration Show is up to, because right now we're swapping stages. A lot of our stars are going onto other people's stages. Other people's stages, they're opening up stuff for us. So you see us all over the place with the stars going to different places. And you're going to be able to see all the new things that are going on because we have lots of new stars coming up. Stay close to the Fresh Inspiration Show. We got more for you. Enjoy the podcast. Enjoy the episode if you're finding it on Roku TV. Mwah. Love you.
Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration.
So I'll open it up for some questions from anybody.
Yes, Brenda. Every time, my second time with you, but I feel like it's a lifetime now. Because you have so much good juice. And I'm wearing my crown because I want to be a professor of change also. And I'm going to dress and do what I want to do. And what I love about this is when you're talking about like incarcerating, there's so many times that we walk around like robots. And like, what's the rules? What am I supposed to be doing? And what you're talking about is like what you said, freedom. I have one question for you, and then come on, the stars of the show, if you want to add anything and add in with what Brenda's talking about. We have a few minutes here. What, I know that you said that you don't coach, but I do want to make sure I know how to get to you. Not just when you're out doing your events, because you have an event coming up and you have all these things going on. But I want to know about that, but also you're getting ready for a show like what you said. There's some show that's going to be syndicated, it sounds like, that you're going to be doing. Can you give a little bit of experience on what that is?
Well, there's actually different things. I'm speaking on a platform. It's more about business, but it's also about your self-development and how to move forward in business. And it is an international thing. The gal that's doing it is out of London, and she's just wanting to encourage people that you can have a great life while doing the job that you want. And it fit. I'm going to be speaking on negotiating, because negotiating is a tool, it is an asset, and it is an experience. And it's not just in business. Sometimes you have to negotiate life. You have to negotiate how you're going to live your life and who you're going to live it with. Even in my marriage, I have to negotiate. And Dennis says, when I tell him that, what do you mean we're negotiating? Well, negotiating is a conversation. It is a conversation. You need to have those conversations. And if you're not getting something that you want that is also going to benefit the other person, then walk away. It's okay to walk away. So the other thing that the reason why I'm getting on people's shows and doing some of the things that I'm doing and actually able to speak about it is because I not only changed myself, I did one of the hardest things to do. I went back to everybody and tried to make it right with those that I wronged. And I didn't want to be on the stage. I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I didn't want to give other people advice if I wasn't willing to do it myself. Some of my family members said, you don't need to do that. They harmed you. It didn't matter. Forgiveness is for you. And I had to go to them, even though they didn't ask for forgiveness. And even though they didn't maybe realize that they had done something to me, I still had to go to them and make my part of the situation right. Some people would never see me, wouldn't answer my calls or my emails or my texts, and that's okay. That door is always open. Some relationships picked right back up where they left off, and some are just okay, and that's okay. You need to accept it. And I just said, I'm going to let God control who accepts me for who I am, who he puts back in my life, and who he brings new to my life, because those are new opportunities. Those are new people, and they're placed there for a reason. So I did it. And for those, I even went to people who maybe I didn't harm, but maybe that I thought that I harmed, because I wanted to clear that air. And if I did miss you or you didn't respond, that door is open. Please contact me. I would love to have a one-on-one with you. I hope that I can be forgiven, and I hope that we can always move past it. And that's really what I want. And I had to do that for my own peace of mind, because it was taking up space in my head. It was literally there, day in and day out. I was waking up to it. And that's when you know you need to change.
And Brenda, I feel like this flow through the heart, like when you're talking. So I can't wait I put the link down here to Safe in His Arms, June 10th through the 12th in Kansas City. And so there's a link there for people to join and know what's going on there. They can fly from all over the place.
They can. And actually, Tanya's going to be singing.
Well, this is cool, because you get Tanya singing today, and you're like, oh my gosh, Tanya's going to be a part of the event too. This is cool. So
it's really cool. We've got some powerful people coming in. We've got Marie Cosgrove, who's known for Jill, Tanya, myself, Maud. She's known, but Marie is known for buying the business that fired her. But that's not what she always talks about. She talks about her relationship with Christ and how he's brought her through. She was a product of rape, and that was taboo to her family. Telling her mom to get an abortion. She has a family member now that doesn't talk to her because she talks about her experience from the stage. They just don't want, it's supposed to be a secret, but she doesn't, because she's got to live her life, and she's going to come share what God has done in her life for her. And then we have Jocko Boyens, he's in the film producing stuff. He talks about sex trafficking and his passion for helping those type of women. He always puts Christ first. And it's just going to be a really great spiritual revival is basically what it is.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Unmute anybody here. I saw Tanya, Tanya was all into this, and Heidi's, up for like, yes, but anybody unmute. Tanya, what do you think? What's going on for you as Brenda's here sharing her beautiful.
I just love, I personally love that story of the woman buying the business that she got let go of. I think that's fantastic. That's absolute restoration, and I think that's sort of what you're talking about, pieces of. And when we look at restoration, you can only restore what has been fully killed or dead. You can't restore something unless it's fully nothing left. And so as much as it's painful to have to go through that full on death, then we can be restored and we can become a new thing. So I think it's beautiful. And I'm so excited to be involved at the event.
We're happy to have you. And Marie's actually going to speak at a different level in October on the Becoming the Best You stage, where she is going to actually share that story. So I'm not going to give a lot of it away. Go get your ticket and go over to comechangeyourlife.com for those. But it's just a blessing to see the growth in people, to see people change. It's satisfying because you see people come from the darkness into the light. And once those switches are turned on, the possibilities are endless.
I just wanted to say, Brenda is probably one of the most loving, Christ-centered women I've ever met in my journey of interviewing people and connecting. Brenda, you have one of the sweetest, kindest spirits, and you give, and yet have good boundaries, which is amazing. And I was honored to be on your platform in Kansas City this past year, and will be coming back again. And the main reason I want to come back again, just so the audience knows, is just because of the love that Brenda permeates to the whole room. And she's so selfless in so many ways. So Brenda, I'm just grateful to know you. And I just believe that everybody that can possibly get to Kansas City in June or St. Louis in October needs to be in the same room as Brenda. Thanks.
Yeah, I posted that too, Jill. I saw that we have some dates are October 21st through the 23rd, St. Louis, Missouri. Anybody else want to add in? We have some great information here. Brenda, I do feel that no matter what subject you're speaking about, it just doesn't matter. Because whoever is seeking that is going to be hearing you, and you feel like this love that is coming off you. I love the questions you were asking too. Very deep, good stuff there.
It's been a journey, let's say that. But everybody says, well, why didn't you do this sooner? I said, I have to make sure that my change is real. You can't say you're going to change and then start a movement the next day. You need to change and then start the movement.
You have to experience that too, but that's what you were talking about. It's like it doesn't happen overnight. Like, okay, you can feel it and like you can express it out to everybody, but you don't know for yourself. And then the brain will be doing that thing of like, did you change? No, you didn't. Because there's some reconciliation, like what you said. Going through that journey, then your heart gets to expand. You wake up in the morning, you get to feel it. And then it all really does become as one. And then you get to live it, but you get to live it so you're not in the monkey mind trying to play a game and watch your back. So that was the reconciliation probably helped in that space. Anybody else here in the Fresh Inspiration Show, having to kind of sit with this stuff? Because Brenda, it's interesting. You brought up that there was a point where you could have gotten out earlier. It just wasn't your time. It's like there was time that needed to be seated in really understanding what your journey was. And that time must have been such a challenge. But that's where the deep flow of your truth and what you're asking of others, come and step into that.
The challenge, the first year was the challenge. The last 3 was not. It was so easy. I was never put in a position of harm. I also didn't put myself in a position of harm. I didn't, act a fool. And I treated everybody with respect, no matter why they were there. And I expected them to treat me with respect. And that's what I got. I still communicate with a lot of them. Some of them are still in. I have a little prison ministry. I send them letters every month. I send them books. I don't send money, but I do have money on my phone if they want to call me and talk. And then when they get out, I try to have a little care package ready, because some of these gals, when they come out, they have nothing because, they got arrested and all of a sudden their stuff's been set on the street. So they don't even have underwear. They literally walk in with what they walk out with what they walked in on. So I have a little care package for them with, some clothes and whatever they might need. And then I try to encourage them. I always give them free tickets to our events because I want them to become better. I want them to change. I'm trying to stop that revolving door and let them know that people actually do care. There are some people that care in this world.
They really are. Okay, my friend Brenda, thank you. Thank you so much for woo. I just have so much energy that this is another great kickoff. We're reviving this. Okay, Brenda Wood. There are links here. People are going to be able to connect with you, and I appreciate your time, appreciate your love, the experience I get to have with you, and the community. Thank you. I love you, my friend. Excellent work.
Thanks for having me. I have to say one more thing though. Don't look at the situation, look at who you are, and then look at how you're going to get out of that situation or to change the situation so that you can become better.
Excellent, my friend. Thank you. Okay, so the Fresh Inspiration Show. How are we doing here? How's the heart? How's the flow? And how's your journaling going? I'm already starting to do my journaling. Anybody else? I'm gonna put a link in there in a moment too, which we'd love to do is give you a little printout if you want to print it up, and you can have the name of the person, you can write it down, and any of the snippet of how to get in contact with them. And also it's going to be in the show. We're going to be doing podcasts, and then it's going to be released out into Roku TV and all the links being there too. So we're all over the place. Hope you're enjoying this. We're going in and we're transitioning. So take a deep breath in. And like Brenda said, freedom, really get in and learn about yourself and your transitions and what you really want, what's keeping you incarcerated. That was a really deep one. This is it. The Fresh Inspiration Show. Enjoy, enjoy. Okay, so our next person is coming on, and it is Heidi Wilde. Actually, Heidi, I think you're before. I think I have Maud. Okay, so we have Maud Miller. Heidi's coming up right after her. So that's just to tell you. You got to hold this because Heidi's going to bring up some great stuff as she's going along too, which is great. Maud Miller, here we go, is a veteran, ex-wife, and angel mom. I know in our opening ceremony, I held that space, and I believe there's so many that do that for Maud, because Maud does it for you. You can feel it. You can feel that love and the journey that she's going through, and what she gets to share when she gets to go out and speak. Probably even just go in the grocery store. I don't know. There's going to be some great stories that I could be asking Maud at any time. So Maud, maybe you and I need to have some, tea and hang out over Zoom like we're as if in the same room. So Maud will be sharing with you how you can step into your true success through your marketing, as she will share with you how you can create the bigger picture and develop unique creative concepts that are in alignment with business strategies and arriving right on time to your future clients. We are ready for you to get out there so that you can say yes to you. So we are talking, Maud may be speaking about some of this marketing, but you're going to notice that Maud said she's speaking a lot about, as an angel mom, is that how she speaks is actually going to be marketing. So make sure, even though she may not be explicitly talking about it, the way that she speaks and what she's talking about, take some notes. Again, like I said, we have a lot of professionals in this community. Let's hear it for Maud Miller. Woohoo! Maud, come on in, my friend. I'm going to pin you up here so then we get to have you as a spotlight here.
Hi, Rhonda. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, my friend. You tell me what you need. I'm just going to hold space for you. And if you want to pause and have me interject anytime, if not, I have the space for you, my friend. It's yours.
Okay. Well, I appreciate being here. And my journey started in 2004. The struggle to actually become a mom who has a child who had cancer. She was born healthy, completely healthy, in 1999. So she was 5 years old when we started our journey with cancer. Prior to that, I didn't realize how significant it was to look at life and embrace how important it is. You know, look and take every moment, sit down and actually be inspired by a child, how they actually viewed the world, what they actually looked at, how they got down and looked at even the tiniest little bug crawling on the ground just to see how it worked, you know, what it did, how it did it, you know. So my life changed significantly when she was diagnosed. I mean, I paid attention. I was there with her from the moment that she was born. I was still in the military. I was dealing with going to work and having to leave her behind, having to watch somebody else raise her, which was not something that was easy. And then 6 months in, after I had her, I was told if I wanted to re-up in the military that I needed to send her to family. That moment, I was like, I can't do this. I have to be with her. I have to be around her. I have to watch her grow up. And I'm glad I did. I got out and I started doing different types of events and that kind of stuff. So that was how I started out in marketing, communication, that kind of stuff. I had a degree that I had before I got into the military that didn't necessarily go anywhere while I was in the military. But after I got out, it became something that the passion just grew. So seeing that and watching that, from the moment that she was a little bitty, I would sit down and I would do arts and crafts projects with her, which I'm glad I did now because it's all I really have left of her. So those moments, sitting down, taking that time, enjoying moments with her, sharing little bitty things, anything from she decided to walk across the concrete with paint all over her feet, and I wound up with painted feet prints on the concrete for weeks, you know. But as soon as she started getting older, it was kind of one of those things, okay, well, how do I engage with her? How do I make her realize how much fun and inspiration she can actually go and create in others? Come to find out that the child was so much more inspiring than I could have ever been. So then 2004 came around. She was diagnosed with cancer. We went in and out of the hospital quite frequently. She spent her 5th birthday actually in the hospital in the emergency room, and we still didn't know what was going on with her. There was no diagnosis. There was no nothing. We were trying to figure out why she was having so many medical issues with regards to her tummy hurting, her back hurting. You know, she was peeing blood, so they were thinking that she had a urinary tract infection. So that struggle started then, trying to figure out exactly what was going on, how things went, you know, who we needed to talk to, how many different people we needed to talk to within the hospital, not realizing how much of a huge problem it was for children because there was not a direction. There was not anybody there to show them what was going on, what the procedures were, that kind of stuff. So that became a passion after we found out her diagnosis. So when in 2004, on February 21st, 2004, my little girl, there goes my mutt. It's totally good timing, right? So on February 21st, 2004, we actually got a diagnosis. She was diagnosed with bilateral Wilms tumor with a tumor thrombus in her heart. So what that means in layman's terms is that she had cancer of both of her kidneys, and that cancer actually traveled from her kidneys up through her inferior vena cava into her heart. So every time you heard her heartbeat, it was a double thud. So instead of it being a normal heartbeat where you'd actually hear the normal steady rhythm, it would sound like her heart was beating twice as fast. And I always said that that was her special trait. And then when they removed it, she sat there and she said, my special trait is gone. And I told her, I said, your special trait is never gone because you are your special trait. So after she was diagnosed, we got involved with everything that was going on within the hospital. She wandered up and down the hallways wearing her little clippy clop shoes, pretty princess dresses, crowns. She dressed up to go everywhere. She never went into surgery in anything less than a little ball gown. We actually had a few nursing staff that actually made sure that she had her clippy clop shoes that she could actually wear when she got out of surgery. They also dressed up her babies. But through her time and struggles with regards to cancer, trying to make it so that she could still be a kid. Because unfortunately, when you are a child who is diagnosed with cancer, you have to grow up very quickly. You don't have that element of fun. You don't have that element of, I want to go and I want to be me. So she always asked, okay, Mom, well, if I do this, do I get to go play? When do I get to go play? How quickly do I get to go play? So I started looking at things. It's something that I do all the time. People ask why, but I look at life through her eyes, and I still do. I look at how she would actually go and embrace a moment. She may be laying in a hospital room, in a bed, not being able to move, not being able to go and do anything. And I would see what kind of fun we could actually go and create. There was more times than not that her hospital bed was a princess carriage. And she was wearing her crown and she was getting to go and be the princess. We'd make up stories and we'd sit there and tell stories. We'd sit there and color. She could win against anyone playing Jen. It was her thing. So because of that, because of all the things that she did and all the things that she inspired in other people, because anybody who came around her, any person who interacted with her, that baby would sit there and she would inspire them to go and step outside of their comfort zone. They would go and find that happiness, that joy, that childlike quality that most adults lose. So now as her mom, it's still something that I go and I take and I become. I make sure that when I start something or do something, I take that childlike quality and infuse it back into what I do. So with regards to marketing, communications, all that kind of stuff that we had all talked about before, it was part of my bio, that I take all those things and I actually make them a part of what I do. So I infuse anything and everything that I have and who I am into someone else's marketing. I take and I infuse the fun. I try and bring that person, their personality, who they are, what they are, into that moment. And working with Bren has been amazing because she has that same childlike quality as well that you don't see a lot in people. You don't see in adults. You don't see in people who have had those moments in time where they were challenged, where they aren't sure how to move forward, how to find that moment in time that you embrace or you change or you step outside your comfort zone. Most people don't step outside their comfort zone. They stay in a little box and they sit there and say, yep, I'm completely content. I don't need to change anything. I don't need to do anything. I need to be right here in this moment where I am. And if I step outside of this comfort zone, I'm going to lose everything that I've ever worked towards. Well, you need to step outside your comfort zone because otherwise you're never going to change. You're never going to become who you want to be. You're never going to become that inspiration for another person or human being. You are never going to find the childlike quality that came with my daughter. You're never going to crouch down on the ground and you're never going to look at the bug and watch how it walks across the ground just because that's not what an adult does. And he's at it again. But
I can hear your doggy, he's part of this conversation.
He does.
Oh my gosh, I feel that love, my friend. Okay, keep going. You have some more time. I hear your dog.
As he gets involved all the time, it's kind of funny.
Yes, because he is. I have a feeling that he is part of this discussion. He's saying hello.
He is.
He's
He's running probably to the front window, barking at people who are outside.
He's preaching to what you're talking about. I love it, my friend.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah. So anyways, we all choose who we are and what we are just by virtue of where we are within our comfort zone. You know, I mean, Alyssa, when she was diagnosed with cancer, you know, before, I mean, we went to so many different funerals for friends. And it's something that she asked me, you know, people ask about religion and why I never actually brought a specific religion to her. She actually was the one who chose. We talked about religion from a young age. You know, I never pushed a specific religion on her. So she came up with her own. My little girl was always very, very, very imaginative. And we went to a funeral. We sat there, we talked to a couple of, you know, the friends that were there. Her friend was 21 when she passed away, and she had made butterflies for every single one. I know you see the one behind me. It's actually a kite. But she asked me, you know, Mom, what do I get to become if I go and be where Jenna is? And I sat there and I told her, I said, what do you want to become? Who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? She sat there and she's like, well, I don't know. That was the first time that we actually talked about God and how things are and what kind of a inspirational moment you want to have with regards to any kind of higher being. And I have never been super, super religious, which is part of the reason why I think I let her go and explore herself. But she sat there and she looked at me and she thought about it. And like 3 or 4 days later, she came up to me and she said, Mama, I know what I want to be. I looked at her and I sat there. I said, okay. I said, I want to know. Can you tell me what you want to be? She's like, well, I want to become a butterfly. And I sat there. I said, okay. I said, so explain. Tell me why. Why do you want to become a butterfly? She sat there and she looked at me and she said, Mom, she said, I want to become a butterfly because I never have to leave you and I can go and be with everybody that I love. So those moments, those things, those little bits of who she was and who she is literally everywhere in my house. There's a butterfly above my head. There's one on the shelf behind me. She became a part of every moment and every day for me. She also does that to everybody else. And that inspiration goes and it infuses in everybody that I know, every person that has ever encountered her or her spirit, who she is, what she is, where she goes. You know, those moments, those things, that childlike personality, you don't see. So my inspiration for you, or my thought for you, is to go out and find that moment, find that joy, find that fun, find that little bit of your childlike personality that you had forgotten a long time ago. Figure out where it is and figure out how to embrace it. Figure out how to change who you are and what you are. Infuse it into everything that you do, every moment, every thought process, every event that you put on. Every time you sing, every time you dance, every time you walk outside in the sun and look up at the stars, or, you know, just any time that you actually feel like you're overwhelmed, you don't know where you're going or what you're doing, find the child in you, search it out, figure out how to embrace it and how to make it a part of everything that you do. Does anybody have any questions? I'm getting kind of some fun looks from people.
My beautiful friend, I appreciate the love and the open space, the questions that you asked, you know, seeing life through child's eye, and speaking about, is it your time? No, there is no time. The transformation is here now, ready for you. And that's all you had to say. I'm in. Anybody else in? Who else is speaking here? Anybody else in? Add to what you're feeling. Give some love to Maud or ask questions.
This is
Unmute.
Heidi.
Heidi.
Yes, Rhonda, thank you. Well, Maud, what a beautiful story and a reminder of how, it's a snapshot, right? Time keeps coming as a theme here. And whether we're alive on this human earth through this human experience for, a year or 100 years, it's still a snapshot in time. And, I'm getting goosebumps right now, chills. I'm loving them. You remind me of, I can feel as you were sharing the story about how you were so embracing every moment with your beautiful daughter. And as she watched the bug walk across, that's a teaching moment for us, for me. And also, I believe that she's living through you, that we're all one, that we don't, you know, we go somewhere, but we're still here, and that she's a whisper away. And really just a beautiful story of her legacy. And again, although she was here for such a short amount of time, the impact that she had on you and that she continues to have through that ripple effect as you share your journey, her story, and she lives on. She's a beautiful legacy. So thank you.
Of course. Of course.
Yep, I have my crown on too. I love you speaking about. Anybody else want to add in? I about I'm thinking about my kids, and so your story is so incredible about getting on your hands and knees. And I even think about with my dogs. You're a beautiful dog. I know our dogs are always communicating too, and so when I caught that, it was like there is no disruption. Like he's like he's speaking the word, and I find that in my dogs too. They're always watching over and holding space and stuff. So I always think about giving, like, give yourself time. Give yourself time so that you get to enjoy who you are, and then that opens up for everybody. You take that time, you ask those questions, you get curious, and you love on people. You just, in this love bug space because of Maud.
Most people don't ask the questions, though. Most people don't ask.
That's why you're here.
Honestly, loss of a child is a taboo subject. Most people don't want to talk about it because they don't want to manifest it.
Yes. Okay, good. I didn't think about that, Maud. You're living this, so you're seeing what is happening as the interaction happens in this world. I love that you brought that up, because that would be, that they're living in the scared factor. And as you get to speak about your daughter, anybody that's coming and moving forward, they're going to be leaning in and saying, boy, I want to know more. But we have a scared world out there, and that's what you're here for. Heidi, Jill, Brenda, Janeen had to leave. Tanya, like, that's why we're here. You get to Maud. I thank you. You've changed my world. Brenda changed my world. Like, this is gonna keep going because Heidi is next. Like, but I do want to love on you, Maud. The strength that is coming through when you're speaking about this, I get to exude it and breathe in it while you're doing it. The experience to be with you is one of the most powerful experiences that I get to have today. I appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah.
When you're doing this, I can see how when you're helping somebody in their marketing, that you get to bring them in, like, so they get to be raw and open, because that's the open space. I could see you being a kick butt marketing person, because you're like, isn't your time? And then they get to feel you. You don't have to prove anything to them. Just there, just holding that space. So I can feel the marketing being very organic and deep. And the person that is there is the person that wants to be there, that they may not know that they wanted to be there because they've been hiding. So anybody working with you has this incredible space.
Well, I get to see somebody different with regards to marketing. When I sit there and I say, you know, I talk to them, carry on a conversation, I see something different in people that most people don't.
Yeah.
Because I look at that unique. There's a unique quality in every single person that you actually encounter, no matter what it is. It's a matter of determining what that is. And it's sitting down and listening and carrying on a conversation with them. You know, if that person can actually sit down, carry on a conversation with you and tell you, and without judgment, without a thought in their mind, what they're looking for, what they think. It's the same thing as sitting down and listening to a child. Have you ever listened to a child and heard what they say? They're pretty harsh.
And they speak truth, and that's
Yes, but it's completely true.
That's
It's completely true.
When it comes from the heart, it's not brass. It's not, I'm going to fight you because you need to change. It becomes more like what you're saying, organic. You have that special quality of being able to see and hear someone. Everybody else in with that, like, I think that's what we're talking about here. And Maud is saying that the marketing component is when you're with her, I'm saying it again, is that she gets to hold space because she is playing with you as you're a child. And then she gets to see that space that not many people take time. They had these steps to do, but the steps are not going to get you there unless you be you. Be. So I love that. That is what when I saw your stuff, Maud, that's what I enjoy. Is that I would never bring anybody in here to talk about marketing, because that you can throw stuff on all over the place, but the person's only going to be so successful because they're still going to be hiding. So with your experience, you get to say, everything's open for you. Let's go for it. And when they start being themselves, there is nobody else out there.
Well, it shows that I'm actually vulnerable. I mean, I'm vulnerable with you. You can be vulnerable with me. You know,
Safety.
I'm not going to go and judge you just for the simple fact that I am exactly who I say I am. I don't hide myself. I let you know that, yeah, I put myself out there on a daily basis. Walking into a grocery store. I mean, I have severe PTSD because of all the things that happened with my daughter. That PTSD I embrace, and I try and change what I do because I am that vulnerable, and I let people know that I have to consciously make an effort to do specific things. You know, getting on airplanes now is a struggle. Walking into a grocery store is a struggle. You know, I mean, embracing those moments and actually taking those moments and utilizing them and showing someone else that, you know what, you can be vulnerable with me, because I'll take those things and I'll actually incorporate them into what you're actually trying to put out there. You know, it's a matter of going and pulling all those things together. And most people don't do that. Most of the time it's just marketing.
You brought up that point of, we have spaces where we can, like, not have quote unquote good social skills, or we don't want to go in that group because we feel something about this, or we don't want to post because of this. So what you said about airplane and store, in the experience that you've had and the PTSD, we know people that have this, and you're saying, I'm going to be with you along the way. We're going to be holding that wing, because that I'm your wing woman. This is what it's about, so that you know that you're okay, because I feel this every second of the day. Maud, when I started doing heart work, and I felt at first I had to prove it to people, like I just kept talking about this heart work, like what Brenda was talking about earlier. Like, you talk, but until you're actually eating it and absorbing it and being with it, that it's just do it, and you just be, and people feel it. And I appreciate your vulnerability, because at that level of what you dealt with, if you're my neighbor, I'd be coming over every day. You go, Rhonda, I get there. I have some work to do. I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm taking notes. What did you just say? You said everything you say, and I'm just writing it down. So please connect with Maud Miller. Give yourself the gift and the experience of what she's talking about here. It's hard to get there. and we all keep growing. We get in those depths. And as Maud has had her experiences, you know that she's growing every single day and getting deeper and deeper to the heart sense. So no matter where you are in the vulnerability, working with somebody like Maud in your marketing would take you like you're soaring, and you'd be scared and you'd be laughing because you go, this is really scary, and you want to cry. That's good, because that means you're bubbling things up and you're breaking the walls. So Maud, I appreciate you. Anything else that we need here before I transition? I have your stuff that I got from you. I used the link. But anything else I need to before we transition?
No, I'll be at all the events that Bren mentioned.
Okay, we
If it is
got it.
ours, I'll be there at BTBY events, the Becoming the Best You events.
I
I'm
love that
the person who puts together all the
marketing.
marketing communications, but I also do their virtual side. So everything with regards to the virtual event side, that's me.
Hey, Maud, you see I was able to pin both of us. Like I'm playing with the pins. Bada bing, bada bing. And so just Maud being in the room, I learned from her without her even saying anything. She goes, "What?" I said, "Okay, thank you. I heard you."
Don't have to say anything. It's just kind of a mental infusion.
I do love you, my friend. I do appreciate you, and God bless, my friend. Sending you love.
Thanks, Rhonda.
You're welcome. The Fresh Inspiration Show. I am being blown away here today, and I know you are. Is this amazing when we have a community that we're not in the space of that I need to prove to you, but they're more sharing and holding space? Do you feel that? What kind of notes are you taking here? What's going on? Tell me what's happening for you. Write it down. It's just the breathing and oozing of this. I bet you have tons of downloads. Jill says, hire Maud for her marketing. She made my backdrop for my podcast show. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of things that Maud does that's all around, cycled around the virtual and also in-person events. So that she's one to come and speak to. All right. So the Fresh Inspiration Show, I'm ready to clap my hands again. We're going to be bringing in, and we remember what we're talking about here. Everybody's been talking about that. You are here. You're arriving on time. What is happening here is on time. Brenda was saying, I wasn't ready to leave prison. Yes, I was, but then I wasn't, because the truth was I needed to be in that incubator space. You arrive on time. Maud, with her experiences and sharing that you're not too late in your marketing, but you better think about, just sit there for a moment, just breathe this air, and it's gonna just be infectious, because you're not late, but it's just time to start right now. That's what we're talking about here. So let's bring it in with Heidi Wilde. Now, Heidi, you're a gentle, sensitive, beautiful woman, but there's something in me I love about this Wilde. And I know there's an E there, so it's not like the Webster dictionary of wild, but I feel this wild. I'm like, Heidi's like absorbing, bringing stuff in, which is so beautiful to have somebody like that in the room, because Heidi's another person you can tell that can really see and hear you, and she's absorbing and really speaking to what she's going to, what I call like riffing. I'm going to my mic. That's what I call riffing, because she has things on her mind, and it's about oneness, about health and wellness, and what all this truly means. So let me do a warm welcome. Heidi Wilde is passionate about wellness and is a wellness partner with Amare Global, a holistic platform, as she gets to bring health and healing into your life. Heidi's specialty is about gut-brain health. Oh, Heidi, you are so needed right now. That's why we have such chronic disease, and the things are happening too early when it comes to people choosing things. Sometimes it's the stress. I'm just all excited about this stuff. And it's the connection to heal anxiety, stress, and depression. And her mission is to share with you your simple steps. And this is the key to feel Amazing. Amazing. Heidi Wilde, come on in, my friend. Woo, woo.
Oh, thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, everyone. So, what beautiful stories so far. Oh, my goodness. Well, the first thing I'd like to do is just let's take a breath. Let's just take a moment. So, everyone, just uncross everything. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths. And the first breath, we're going to deeply breathe in through our lungs into our belly. And this is everything that happened before this present moment. That what happened this morning, you're getting wherever you're going, you're looking here at this Zoom, wherever you are. So let's just take it in. Ready? In through your nose and then release through that mouth of ours. The second breath we're going to take is everything that's going to happen after this event, after your experience here. So let's bring it in. Through your nose, in deep through your lungs, fill your belly and release. And then this third breath is going to bring us right into the present moment, the here and now. And we're going to ask that wherever we are in the moment, we are going to hear the exact words that are going to speak to us, that are going to really penetrate our hearts. Let's bring it in. Deep through our nose, in through our lungs, deep belly. Release. Wow. The breath is so powerful. So thank you for participating and experiencing that. So my name is Heidi Wilde, and I am wild about a lot of things. So I'm wild to talk about my experience and my journey so that perhaps it can help others, because I believe that our story, when we share it, we can have huge impact on people. And sometimes, many times, most times, we may not even know the impact we're having. People could be just going through their stuff. I will say that you never know what is going on behind someone's smile. So I want to share a little bit. This was me. I don't know if you can see that. So there was, I really related to what Brenda talked about earlier, about living a life outside of myself, getting that approval, doing the right thing, being the right, mom and daughter and neighbor and sister and employee, and just spinning on that hamster wheel and not taking time to even know who I am. And what Brenda also talked about is who rules your kingdom. How we can be incarcerated within ourselves, imprisoned, and not even know it, not even be aware of it. So a little bit about me. I am in my early 60s, which is, again, that time thing, right? And Maud, you brought in such beautiful reminders about the preciousness of the moment in time and, living through that child of ours, whether it's our own children or within ourselves. So I grew up in a home where I was a caretaker. My mom had polio before I was born. She was in a wheelchair, and she was one of my many significant role models. When I was born, I didn't know that it wasn't normal to have a mom that couldn't walk. And my mom showed me, I had really amazing parents. My dad supported my mom, took her all over the world. She was in a wheelchair, but she did not let that stop her. She was a teacher in the 50s when she got the virus, that polio. And during the time I was growing up, I watched her drive with hand controls. She spoke 6 languages fluently. She was the head of Mensa, which is a group with high IQ. She showed me, well, she was a guitar teacher too. She learned guitar music after she had polio, and she taught guitar lessons to all the neighborhood kids after school that would come to our house. And I even had a guitar, which I didn't ask for, but in second grade, I got a guitar and I took lessons, and I paid $0.25 for my lessons so that she could show me the value of her time. And I watched her live. She had a lot of friends. This was in the 60s and 70s. She had Black friends and gay friends. We had hootenannies at my house. She read tarot cards. A lot of exposure to things. And one thing she taught me a lot. But I remember her teaching me that two things: to be different, to differentiate myself, which I did not want to do. I wanted to blend in. The last thing I wanted to do was be seen. So I had the long hair parted in the middle, down on my back, with my bell bottoms. I looked like everybody else. And she shared with me that if I don't get to know other people because of their differences, the way they look, the way they act, color of their skin, perhaps, their religion, whatever, then I might be the one missing out. I would probably be missing out on my best friends if I judge people by the way that they look or have these expectations. So I learned early on not to judge. I grew up in a Jewish household, so we talked a little bit about that. We weren't very religious. We didn't go to temple. I went to Catholic church with all my friends so that we could get the bulletin to show that we went there. And I'm actually grateful that I didn't have this structure, because that's one less thing that I have to undo. However, I created, like Maud's beautiful daughter, I created my own religion, my own connection with my God, grace, spirit, universe, source, my higher power. And it really wasn't until later in life that I really had that connection, which I'll share about what that was, how and why. So I was a psych social major in college. I always wanted to serve and support. I ran a community residence for chronic schizophrenics for a couple of years in my early 20s. I lived in a community residence in Massachusetts 3 nights a week with adults. At first, for 6 months, we were in the institution. They were de-institutionalizing. So I had a program in the basement where anyone from the wards could come down and we could evaluate to see if they were appropriate to live in the community, because they were closing all the hospitals. And then for a couple of years, I was the house manager. And, it was my first experience of organization, structure, business, the budget, having everyone have chores in the house, and really, the bias that was happening within the neighborhoods. We would go to Wilde Pond, we would go grocery shopping, and these people were in institutions for more than 50% of their life, and they had to learn skills. And it was so rewarding to watch them ride a bus to find work. They had to find work during the day. So, I was exposed to this. Fortunately, I answered an ad in the newspaper. And then it was quickly, you burn out fast in that job. I made $13,000 a year. I was the highest paid man. I had house manager, assistants, and relief staff. And, I learned a lot about myself and my capabilities. And when we step in to what we can really do, when we look outside of ourselves, then we can step into our capacity, which I really was learning throughout my life. So I got married in my mid-20s. I have 2 beautiful children now in their 30s. And my daughter is having a baby. I'm going to be a grandma, which is a whole shift of, just the wonders of life. And I ended up working for a couple jobs, and then I landed in a company that I stayed for 33 years. And it was Cellular One Boston, Singular, and AT&T. And throughout my career there, I had a stellar career, tremendous. I always saw, I was a visionary. So when I started as a temp, because I didn't want to be home, not, home with my baby. So one day a week I went in, this was when they had temp jobs back then. And I saw an opportunity because I was doing a lot of work with Cellular One, making appointments for installations and whatnot. I said, if you put a phone in my house and pay me, you don't have to pay me unless I sell something, but I'll do telemarketing. And they did. And I ended up making quite a living for 5 years, working at home while my kids were 5 and 3, is when I finally went in to be a full-time. And during that time, I kind of juggled being a mom and working at home and getting this career going. And then throughout my career, I had tremendous opportunities, sales rep, sales manager. I was the first telemarketing department, and managing a team. And if you're a parent, managing people are very similar to that. It's one of the hardest jobs in my entire life because I really put my heart and soul into it, developing people, developing myself, listening. A good manager, there's a lot of qualities of leadership. So, but that was my identity. I couldn't say my name without saying my company. Hi, I'm Heidi Wilde. I work for AT&T. So that was also a mask that I was hiding behind because at that point still, I didn't know who I was. And as I moved through my career, I did a lot of cool things. Like if I saw a vision, and this is a message that I want to give to you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, if you feel something inside of you, if there's this nudge, then listen to it and follow it. Because I would hear these nudges like, oh, it would be cool if, we did this. And my leadership, thankfully, were confident enough to let me do that. Okay, my name is Heidi Wilde. Okay, Wilde, go for it, run with it. So I did a lot of cool things. The last piece of my career, I worked with first responders. AT&T had a system that would allow, after 9/11, one of the carriers needed to build a system for first responders in case there was ever a tragedy such that. So the first responders had first priority on the network, and all of the consumers would move over in the special SIM. So I saw that the sales reps were going out and banging on doors of police and fire. And I'm like, they don't want to talk to us. They don't want to hear from a salesperson. They were trying to save lives in their community. So I decided to have a webinar series. I said to my boss, why don't we have a webinar once a month? We can invite these people on. We can educate them on what it's all about. Well, he said, go for it. So I worked with the FirstNet strategic team and I interviewed. So this was kind of, the first one was like all the sales reps were in the room tapping on their computers, the background noise. Out. Next one, nope, no one's in the room, signs on the door, taping in progress. And it really got to be very professional and service. We were getting this message out. And one gentleman I worked with, he was the colonel of the state police of Connecticut for 40 years. And he was the commanding officer of Sandy Hook, the shooting. So we had a lot of webinar series based on school safety and, teaching state police and local police and EMTs and ambulances and healthcare, all about that. And the reason I share this is because I created that. It was my mastermind in terms of I had a vision and I went for it. How many times do we have a vision and we let it fizzle away? Because we don't have the confidence or how's it going to execute. We get in the mind of what it's going to look like. Let that all go and let it all flow. Because grace, I'll call God grace, just so it's not religious, has it. And if we listen, I listen, then everything works itself out. It's so beautiful. So during my career, I had a lot of things going on where I was looking outside of myself. I wasn't feeling my feelings. I didn't ever learn how to feel my feelings. So I was on that hamster wheel. I was busy tasking to not feel. So I took my career to levels that were crazy. I'd be on my computer at 11 at night, with spreadsheets and avoiding things. And that affected my relationships, my marriage. I also ate to not feel. After my work slowed down, and I ended up getting a divorce, hardest thing I ever did, because I wasn't healthy. And, when there's someone in the relationship that's not in a healthy place, then the relationship's not going to be healthy. So we talked earlier about letting people learn, teaching people how to treat us. We do that. We create our own relationships, boundaries. I heard that earlier. So after my work slowed down, I ended up becoming a very unhealthy relationship with marijuana. For 2 years, I had an addiction that I could not stop. It started out very social. I had smoked pot when I was younger, my teens, hadn't smoked for 35 years, except for one area where my daughter was in Amsterdam. So we did a little bonding session when she was in her early 20s. And otherwise, so I picked up this marijuana habit, and it was really every minute of the day I was either thinking about pot or smoking. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I have any negative judgment to pot for anybody, but for me, it just isn't okay. It disconnects me. And that's what I found, that I was using that as another crutch to Band-Aid and to not feel.
We're back. What'd you think? What did you think about if you listen to one of the podcasts or all four? You can watch it on YouTube. You can get it on iTunes, iHeart. You can get it on Fire Stick. Oh, this is so much fun. If you watch the whole episode, I love what our editor is doing. So I hope you got to participate in all of it. You used your journal and you got your great nuggets. I would love for you to share with us on iTunes your review. Oh, we would love that. Just to get word of how you are enjoying the show, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to host a show, but it is so much fun. Now, what you want to see is you want to make sure that you get in the Fresh Inspiration Show Mindset Transformation Entertainment Group. That's in Facebook, so that you can get in there and you can interact with us every month when we have a show. It's symposium style, so you can go in there, interact with the stars, get questions answered right away. It is fabulous. Also, we do a lot of different things. We do inspiration, we do Fab Friday Live, where I get to share these challenges that my assistant says, hey, Rhonda, what is it like to be showing up as a leader? Hey, Rhonda, you feel vulnerable this week because of this, this, and this. How are you doing? How are you breaking through? And so I'm constantly in there every Friday speaking about those things. I've been in business and I've been doing this stuff for about 20 years now, and being able to really just get into motivation. And I love doing that. Stay close to us. I appreciate you. You have an insightful day.